All right, it was presidential debate time, and the stage was set. Now, there's already been quite a bit of talk about how the debate went, judgment of Biden's performance, etc. Looking at Trump, he really couldn't keep a straight answer through the whole thing. On the Biden side, the beginning of the debate was a little bit of a disaster. He came out really weak by the second or third question. I thought this thing was over. It was not looking good. Now, Joe did finish strong. He definitely brought it back, but it's his age. He was definitely struggling with his age, which is weird because in the after party, he was very, very coherent.
Except he's just a liar. Look, folks, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is they're going to be out there fact-checking all the things he said. I can't think of one thing he said that was true. No, I'm not being facetious. But look, we're going to beat this guy. We need to beat this guy. And I need you in order to beat him. You're the people I'm running for.
And there were a lot of times during the debate where it sort of looked like his stutter was hitting him. But all in all, it is not the performance that most people wanted from Biden. But I really think a lot of people also sold him short. His awareness of what was going on the stage and responding to things Trump said was actually pretty good. Now, Trump, on the other hand, didn't answer any questions. Everything brought around to the border. It was the usual canned, hitting a couple points about immigration, about the doom and gloom, the World War III, the world's ending, we're a third world country, everything's gonna go to hell if Trump doesn't get elected. I myself, I'm not a huge fan of that talk. I find it to be very hyperbolic and unhelpful, and it disregards all the things that are actually good about now. You can't really govern if you think the place you're governing is just an absolute and utter mess. And right now, America is not a mess. We have problems, but we've always had problems. We've recovered better than just about anybody from the pandemic. So right now, this video, we're gonna focus on two really important issues. The first one is abortion, and the second one is Trump's deportation plan. I think those two segments actually showed a lot of the good and the bad about this debate. And CNN, too, man, I don't know, it was a little disappointing that they didn't provide any sort of pushback. But the fact of the matter is Trump really took some lies way out into left field. And at one point, Dana Bash even asked a follow-up question that gave credence to one of Trump's lies. And I found that pretty intolerable. Let's get right in on abortion. Let's go.
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government
just started,
still plays a role.
Dude, Biden looks rough.
Have access
rough,
to abortion
bro.
pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it.
The Supreme Court did not actually rule for the abortion pill. They ruled the case lacked standing, which means it couldn't be brought before the court in the first place. They did not, however, make a ruling on the merits of the pill itself. It's a very important distinction.
And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted.
Nobody wanted this.
So they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people.
Trump is actually lying right here because most of the states' abortion laws have nothing to do with the vote of the people. And they're actually being passed by state legislatures. And even when the people do vote for abortion laws to remain in effect, often state legislatures, led by evangelical Christians, are trying to overturn the will of the voters. It's a big time lie.
Again, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But
So
you have to get elected also.
Trump went out on the...
Because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem
he's like basically saying
take the life of a
he'll do whatever to get elected, right? He's just being open about it. Like,
former governor of Virginia,
I'll say whatever I need to say to get elected.
He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby.
Meanwhile, they're putting the Bible in schools in Oklahoma today. This is also another instance where Trump is bringing out that big lie about aborting babies after they're born. This is not happening.
Coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule.
Now, Biden makes a really good point here because it's ridiculous that there's not a singular standard of healthcare availability for women in every state in America. Pregnancy is dangerous for women, so there's no reason women in different states should not be entitled to the exact same health care surrounding abortion and pregnancy. And that point about civil rights, because historically, things like civil rights, segregation, and slavery were other things they wanted kicked back to the states. When it comes to human rights, when it comes to health care, every citizen in every state should have the same equal access. Yeah.
Look, there's so many young women.
Come on.
Including a young woman who just was murdered. And he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that. But here's the deal. There's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous. And they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere.
Oh, now they're on the border.
The most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
They're off abortion. Dude, I don't know why Biden did that.
And they are raping and killing women.
Biden delivered it to the border. What a tactical mistake right there. Right? It was on abortion, but now instead of abortion, Trump is talking about the border. Dude, Joe, he messed up right there. I don't know why he brought Laken Riley into it.
Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it.
Let's hope he's playing some 4D chess.
And many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Dude, no legal scholars wanted it this way. Okay, obviously, that was the biggest gaffe of the debate by Biden. I don't know why he took it to Laken Riley. I don't know why instead of hammering Trump, he pulled the border into it. Huge mistake. But again, Trump finishes it up with more lies. He's lying about it being the will of the people. It is not the will of the people. Support for abortion is huge in every state. The overturning of abortion laws in the states is being done by state legislators. is not being done by the people who live in those states. Nobody wanted this. Nobody. The widespread legal scholar support has always been for abortion, and that is unchanged. Donald Trump is lying.
President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
All right. There was a little bit of word salad going on here with Biden, the talk about the trimesters. I really wanted him to hit Trump about the lies, about the anti-abortion laws in states having nothing to do with the people there. And he didn't really pull through here. He was firm in his support for Roe v. Wade, but he really didn't bring it home by focusing on the dysfunction in Trump's argument. Could have been way better. But this was one of the parts that really made me mad because Dana Bash, even asking that question, it was as if she was lending credence to Donald Trump's big lie about these abortions that are happening after the baby is born. She actually brought the conversation around to, well, do you have limits on this? Which is kind of implying that maybe Donald Trump is right about that outrageous lie, which he is not.
He can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth.
Nobody's taking a baby in the 9th month. Nobody's aborting a baby.
What to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
You're lying. That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Yeah.
The Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical
Trump
thing.
is just
we think the
lying.
Democrats
Come
are the
on,
radicals,
Joe.
not the
Come on,
Republicans.
Joe, get
51
juice.
years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion?
He's going to pass
across
it.
the board at 6
All right,
weeks,
Joe's
7
holding
or 8
in,
or 10
dude.
weeks. Something very, very conservative.
He
If
is.
he's going to sign that bill, I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Again, Trump was way out of the stratosphere with his lies about aborting the baby, ripping a fully formed 9-month-old baby out of the womb. None of that is happening. Trump was like so far off base. And you did see that Joe came back, kind of hit him hard there in the end, which was good. But man, I was a little upset that CNN would let those kind of lies go unchecked. I mean, this is a debate. I feel like fact checking sort of has to be a part of this thing, because otherwise it's getting outrageous. And in fact, CNN did not go back and fact check those claims until 2 hours after the debate was over. But again, the thing about abortion is almost 70% of people in America support legalized abortion. And not only that, but Donald Trump's administration, Project 2025, that 900-page document mentions abortion 200 times. Abortion and birth control and keeping women in the home having babies is one of the chief missions of Project 2025. And if Donald Trump gets elected, that's going to be part of his administration. They want a serious nationwide crackdown on birth control, on mifepristone, and on abortion services across America. That is exactly what they want to do. That's been their design all along. All right, now we're going on to the deportation part. This one was a big one.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record
Dude, Trumpy
number of
wanted to
migrants
go.
have illegally
Dude, Joe
crossed
is
the southern
stepping it
border
up.
on your watch. overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns.
Joe put it together.
Given
there.
that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
Now there, Biden talked about immigration with three main points. One, he talked about the bipartisan border bill that was ready to go. It had been hailed as the best border bill in decades. Trump killed that bill. Biden also talked about a 40% reduction in crossings since his recent executive order. And in the end, he pointed out the need for more asylum officers because in addition to just policing the border, the people need to be processed. We do need a path to citizenship, a less cumbersome method of moving people through the process of naturalization.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America.
Why is the southern border a problem?
From the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in.
I mean, it's complicated.
This guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
Trump.
Okay, here Trump goes on his ramble about the best border, the best border. Now, the border was closed in 2020, but that was because of COVID. That had nothing to do with Trump's border policies. As Biden had mentioned, Trump had a serious issue with the family separations at the border and losing kids. His administration didn't even keep track of the kids and the parents in order to reunite them if they moved them elsewhere. So here's another instance where Trump doesn't really talk about immigration policy. He just screams about how he had the best border, the best border, the best border, but he doesn't talk about any real solutions. There is legal asylum, and every state in America relies upon undocumented workers in industries like food processing, meat packing plants, chicken processing facilities, and farming. So immigration is a necessary part of our economy, and Trump didn't address any of it.
President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an al-Qaeda person, come in his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
Now there, Biden hit back at Trump about Trump's claim about terrorists crossing the border by bringing up the incident that happened in 2019 when 3 U.S. servicemen were killed in Florida because of an al-Qaeda terrorist, which happened under Trump's watch. Dark Brandon hits back.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in America.
Better ask how he's going to pay for this.
Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the two greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world.
Dude, he's chewing up
everything.
He's chewing up the debate time here.
He's the one that killed people with a bad word, including hundreds of thousands of people dying.
This kind of a debate is sort of a disaster for both of them.
We are living
He's not answering the question.
They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union.
See how he's avoiding answering the question?
Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before.
Dude, he's not answering this question, which is problematic. Yeah.
The last few days.
Yeah. This is going to haunt him. They put the Chiron up there, too.
For this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our
Answer
country,
the question. Come on, Joe, you better hammer him.
An uncivilized country now.
You better hammer him about this question.
He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast.
Come on, Jojo.
Destroy our country.
Let's go.
Take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places.
Dude, what
our
is
veterans are
Trump
on the
is
street.
just
They're dying
rambling,
he doesn't
bro.
Care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's got
what is this?
I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in.
All right, this was definitely one of the lowest points for Trump in the debate because it was a very clear question about his giant deportation plan, 11 million migrants, et cetera, et cetera. This is the cornerstone, supposedly, of Trump's policy. How are you going to do this? Are you deporting everyone? How extreme is it going to be? And something they should ask, how are you going to pay for this? And Trump avoids the whole thing. First off, he whizzed right by what happened at the U.S. military base, the 3 soldiers that died in Florida. He started talking about his counterterrorism efforts. Then he went into a ramble and a big lie about unprecedented migrant crime, or Biden migrant crime, as he called it, which is absolutely not happening. There's not even been close to a crime epidemic because of immigration. Not even close. So again, those are some big, big lies. And the whole time, Trump avoiding answering a very, very important question about one of the key aspects of his campaign policy. That's a big loss for Trumpy.
And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans.
Dude, yeah,
my son spent a year in Iraq.
It's tough, man. He's not calling him out. He should be calling him out on how he didn't answer that question right there.
In France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
See, right there, that was a big missed opportunity for Biden because I really wanted him to hammer back and get on Trump's ass about not answering that question about the deportation squad, because that's a huge, huge issue, what that would look like, who's going to pay for it. Instead, they kind of got a little bit off topic, started moving on to veterans. Now, Trump did not do anything for veterans. And what's more, most of the military generals that worked with Trump found him completely incompetent, didn't like working with him. So getting into this little argument about Trump's comments, if you look at the comments Trump makes about everyone else, it's really believable that he would say something nasty. If there's one thing we know about Trump, he's always dumb enough to say something stupid.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have.
Dude, that's not true.
I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter.
Yeah, he is, Entropy.
He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
Four-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing.
Come on,
That's what the
JoJo.
VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, and there you have it. That sums up two of the big points in this debate. Now, we did see a pattern that, yes, Joe is old. Joe is not super robust in his line of attack. He definitely missed a few opportunities to really lay the hammer to Trump. But you could see that he was really aware and he was processing the things that Trump was talking about. And he was responding to individual points. Whereas Donald Trump, throughout the entire debate, if you watch the whole thing, he didn't really respond to any individual points. In fact, he never even answered some of these questions, which is a big, big problem. Trump is just trying to skate by as a smooth-talking reality TV guy. But when it comes down to this election, it's not just about Trump and Biden. It is about the administrations. Okay? What are their administrations going to do? And the thing about Trump is he's making a lot of promises about a lot of different things, but he's never telling us how he's going to pay for them, and he's never telling us how he's going to accomplish them. And in his first administration, he didn't accomplish a whole hell of a lot. He added $8 trillion to the deficit, which was more in 4 years than any president ever in the history of America. All right, guys, until next time, keep it real.